France, where the body of a man has been found in the wreckage of two buildings that collapsed in the city of Marseille on Monday. But emergency crews are still searching for as many as 8 people feared buried in the debris. For the latest, I'm joined now by our correspondent Alistair Sanford, who's been monitoring developments. Alistair, what more do we know about this victim?
Well, we don't know who the victim is. It's a man who was pulled out, a body of a man pulled out early this morning. And as you say, they're still looking for perhaps 7 or 8 others. There are some 200 police and emergency workers involved in the operation, according to the authorities. A very difficult task. They've got to sift through hundreds of tons of debris in very difficult conditions because there's been torrential rain. Now, those who are missing are said to have lived in one building. There were 5 of them who lived there and perhaps 3 others who were visiting. 9 out of the 10 flats in the block were inhabited, apparently. The block next door that came tumbling down, well, that was uninhabited, but it's thought there may have been, well, it's not known whether there were squatters or not. The Interior Minister says there's still hopes of finding people alive. It's thought there are pockets in the debris where people could have survived, but the fire service has given an update more recently saying those hopes are pretty faint. The French media have been carrying interviews with residents from this district known as the Noailles district, many of them angry, saying they're not surprised that this has happened because many buildings were apparently in a very bad state.
OK, well, the fact that it was condemned perhaps is some indication of its condition. But how could something like this actually happen in a relatively modern city?
Yes, and right in the centre. This is a stone's throw from the old port, a famous tourist attraction. I know the district quite well. I think you do as well. When you walk around, you see that it's a pretty old district. The city centre has not been gentrified in the same way that other cities have. It's still working class and very poor. Buildings are pretty badly maintained. Residents say they can't afford repairs and perhaps they lack the clout with the authorities or with landlords. Of course, this would be a scandal regardless of where it happened, even if it was out in a distant housing estate. The City Council had a report from 3 years ago identifying 100,000 people in the city as being their health and safety at risk because of poor housing. Now, housing problems are not unique to Marseille. A charity has called for a big renovation programme across the country. A local MP, well known because he's a former French presidential candidate, Jean-Luc Mélenchon, of the France Unbowed movement, he says it's no accident that poor people's houses fall down. He's called for tighter restrictions on the rental sector.